Hello and welcome to another edition of Candid with Christa. Today I am so excited to be joined by Heather Williams. Heather, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so
That's what happens
excited.
when you're up late. I'm not going to call it doom scrolling because I was not doom scrolling. I was actually looking for something specific on Instagram, and you and I have been Insta friends for some time. So
Yes.
I was looking for something. I don't even remember what oh, my daughter had posted something, and I was going to boost her post, as they say. And
Okay.
when I opened up my feed, the post that you did,
Hmm.
asking women to like reach out to you if they wanted to talk about, midlife life and
Yes.
and it not being thumbs down. And I was like,
Yes.
oh, I was like, yeah, sure. So I just responded to you.
My first question was going to be that. That's exactly how I was going to enter in. So you saw the call to action, but what exactly made you say, yes, I want to answer this call to action to have this particular conversation?
I think because as I'm sliding through my
Mhm.
50s, I'm realizing, I think something that I realized in my 40s, like there's this
Mhm.
concept of what aging is. And
Mhm.
I've been working in the fitness industry.
Mhm.
I want to say almost 40 years. So in a month, well, not a month, a little over a month, March 15th, I'll be 57. And that's why I said I'm sliding through
Mhm.
my 50s.
Mhm.
And I remember in my 40s having
Mhm.
clients who I still have as clients who are now in their 80s. They're like close to my mom's age
Mhm.
and still very active.
Mhm.
But when they hit menopause, I remember one woman in particular. Of course, I'm not going to call her name. Okay.
Okay.
Of course, I'm not going to do that. But
Okay.
I remember her saying that when she hit menopause,
Mhm.
that as far as relations went with her husband, that was
Mm.
done. She said, I am putting an out of order sign on
What?
this. And
Not out of order.
yes, baby, out of order. That's what she said. No, that's not what she said. That's what she had said to me.
Okay.
It was a group of women, and
Mhm.
I called them the Golden Girls. There was four of them that used to work out twice a week with me, and I got so much out of their sessions because I think as women in general, but definitely I'm gonna say women of color and Black women
Mhm.
specifically, to
Mhm.
see women who are active and physically active and energized and traveling and doing all the things.
Yes.
Um, that was such great representation for me,
Mhm.
even though I was their personal trainer and fitness coach.
Yes.
So that said, I remember that. I remember not being able to get through that session because that thing was in the back of my head. And
Mhm.
finally, I looked at it, I was like, okay, before we even finish this session, like, y'all got two more exercises to do.
Yeah.
I need you to explain to me
Yes.
why. And so one of the women in the group who's slightly older than her by several years,
Mhm.
and she's passed on, God rest her soul,
Mhm.
says, yeah, because me and mine ain't nothing out of order. And I'm like, thank you. Can we like address this elephant
Yes.
in the room?
Yes.
Because I'm like, you should be buck wild knowing that you can't get pregnant.
Right.
That was my first statement. And then my question was, does your husband know this? So while the crazy thing is that when you have women that are so vivacious and have such dynamic personalities, I
Yes.
honestly don't even think we ever got an answer out of her because the eldest in that
Mhm.
group
Mhm.
may have, from an intuitive perspective, may
Mhm.
have understood that maybe she never enjoyed sex, or maybe
Oh.
her husband was having some issues. The conversation went on to why they weren't, and why at
Mhm.
my age I needed to know that if I
Yes.
chose to have, a
Mhm.
healthy sexual relationship with my husband, but
Mhm.
um I left the conversation with them with an understanding that just because you were going through menopause, you weren't dead. And
Mhm.
from a
Mhm.
professional perspective, that was
Mhm.
very, very insightful for
Yes.
me. And then I started paying attention to my industry differently. I was watching something on TV yesterday, and the guy says, so let me get this straight. In one of the episodes of Emily in Paris, when she first gets to Paris, and she's a marketing director, and she
Okay.
says, so, and one of the guys, one of the Parisians say, so let me get this straight. You work for a pharmaceutical company. So in your country, you make people sick so you can market them medication.
Right.
I've been saying for about the last 10, 15 years that the fitness industry makes women paranoid so they can sell them this promise that never works. And a part
Yes.
of that doesn't work is because I think there's a general way you need to speak, and then there's a way that you need to speak, not necessarily to, marketing will tell you to speak to the pain point. I
Yeah.
like to speak to the promise and the possibility.
I love the promise
And
and the
so, long story short, to answer your question, because I wanted to be that voice to say that I am an almost 57-year-old woman with a healthy marriage, and insert whatever adjective that you need to
Yes.
put in. And
Yeah.
then I'm a woman who, still has flat abs after a hysterectomy. I chose to have a hysterectomy to manage precancerous cells. It was my choice. I didn't have heavy cycles or anything like that. I woke up not in menopause. That night I went to bed in menopause. But the relief that I felt. And so when I was thinking about, sure, let me reach out to Krista. Sure, I want to, be a part of her conversations wherever you are in your life, whether it's perimenopausal or postmenopausal and all stages in between. I cannot say this to women enough. You get to dictate that. You get to define that. Like throughout our conversation, I want to be able to give you examples of what that can look like.
Absolutely. You gave me a lot of material to work with right now. So I'm going to try to arrange my thoughts in a way in which we can really dive into some of these things that you just brought up here. First of all, I'm so glad that you answered the call to action to come and have this conversation. So I'm going to back up from where you started, kind of make my way through. I just want to be clear that you're saying when you left that conversation with your client, who will remain unnamed, that said that there was an out of order sign. So am I to understand that you walked away from that conversation not getting the answer from her as to why it was out of order, but instead getting some insight and relief from some of the other ladies to say, okay, it does not have to be that way.
Exactly. If I was in my 40s, that made them late 60s. That being said, it's not a huge, late. So if I was, let's say 45 and they were 67, that's not a huge, it's a definitely an age difference. I think when we look at our elders, it is because we also look at it from a social political perspective and we know what they went through.
Right.
But because I recognize that, I also look at those women as they're my clients, but they're also my elders. And so that's why I was able to listen from both personal ears with them being my elders and professional ears with them being my clients. And that's what I walked away with. But I also read the room because they had a wives lived mother, grandmother experience that I don't have. And so I think they were also offering her cover for whatever they understood from them being girlfriends.
I think that's a very important point, and part of the reason why I want to have these conversations is that there are a myriad of different ways to age. My hope is that we are doing it standing in our own agency and our own truth and our own authenticity, and that we're defining whatever that means for us. We want to be having these conversations so that, yes, the women that are coming up after us or younger can have these stories, can have these experiences, can have this experience, have this wisdom. Because I know when I was coming up, nobody was openly talking about menopause. Forget about the fact that there was no such thing even called perimenopause that I can recall that was even talked about.
I got my first aerobics certification when I was 18. And then I got my first personal training certification when I was about 23, 24. And while there was a mention of our monthly cycles, to delve into perimenopause, into postmenopause, that wasn't even a conversation.
I'm energized and excited about the fact that these conversations are being had and they're being had openly.
I do want to say, though, observing Mrs. Out of Order, there was
Mhm.
never any intimacy lost between she and her husband. So I want to be crystal clear
Mm,
that
okay.
intercourse doesn't necessarily mean intimacy. And I'm not saying that from a conservative Christian
Mhm.
perspective as if it's bad, because I know her, well, she's still alive, her husband has passed on,
Mhm.
and watching him through she retired before him, watching him
Mhm.
through his retirement, knowing the other couples that they traveled with, like
Yes.
physically seeing them
Mhm.
eh, together,
Yes.
and just the shared enjoyment that was natural. So
Mhm.
again, if you're in a marriage, I want to be really clear about this. If you're in a marriage
Mhm.
and your marriage is not sexual, providing
Mhm.
that both people are on the same page,
Yes.
with that, but there's a
Yes.
level of sacred intimacy between you and your spouse, I don't think there's a problem. And I think sometimes we're so busy to have people pounding each other's bodies that we
Mhm.
lose the sense of what it looks like to be intimate
Mm.
beyond the
Mhm.
intercourse,
Mhm.
because they
Thank you
can
for saying
coexist,
that.
but they're not synonymous.
Very important distinction to make. I'm glad that you inserted that. So then when you walked away from that conversation and as you marched into midlife, what were some of the other surprises that you found along the way, surprises and or challenges as you entered into midlife?
I'm going to be the annoying person in the room. I'm gonna let you know that.
I will see about that. I'm not
Because
sure if
here's a
I'll.
couple of things.
Okay.
Like when I referenced my hysterectomy, it was
Mhm.
about cancer. It was not about
Mhm.
heavy cycles. My cycle was so irregular because of how athletic I've been
Mhm.
throughout my life. So I never had terrible cramps or any of the stereotypical things. Like I
Mhm.
had to learn not to have a male's response to the
Mhm.
women around me who
Mhm.
suffered monthly because I had no context.
Yeah.
At the same time, I know that when I'm in my 90s,
Mhm.
I want to still be teaching 3 classes a week. And because
Mhm.
I've held on to that thought for so long, that's been my focus. So I'm just aging. The challenge that I'm having right now is that I have suffered for decades with
Mhm.
what they call exercise induced hives. So when your body has this horrific histamine response, your skin may
Mhm.
get a little itchy before you break a sweat. Okay, there's a whole medical term for it, but we're just going to refer to it as exercise induced hives. So I used to get a little bit of this when I would teach
Okay.
or work out 6, 7 minutes in and
Yes.
nothing. Over years, it's gotten
Mhm.
progressively worse. So I said there was any challenge, it's managing that right now, trying
Mhm.
to figure out, because the thing that really eliminates it is
Yes.
Benadryl. But
Mm.
if I do 2 Benadryls, then my workout shifts because now I want to sleep. And so I've been looking at probably going on to a regimen of Zyrtec and
Mm.
Allegra
Mhm.
and mixing those in because I want to get back out to running. Because right now, I hate the treadmill. I will
Mhm.
do it. So I go to the gym. I make sure
Yes.
I'm right under an air duct
Yes.
until I
Mhm.
warm up. I want to get back outdoors. So I said, if there was any challenge, is that
Mhm.
right now, because of that, I can hydrate enough to run
Mhm.
outside, but this bladder is 56 years old.
Yes, yes. No, I feel that, Heather. I love about your response about this. Two things stand out to me is being focused on solutions rather than barriers. You talked about your goal, your intention, and what you
Mhm.
plan to do as you continue to accumulate years on this earth and what you want to be doing. On the flip side of that, you saying that the challenge with the exercise induced hives, what is my solution to that? All right, if I'm going to be in the gym and doing a treadmill and I don't really like, but who, I'm with you on that. Then I'm going to then make sure I position myself where I can, get cool air. I love the intentionality
Thank
behind
you.
that.
You saw me on the treadmill, you
Mhm.
wouldn't believe that
Mhm.
I didn't like it. So I'm a bit of a tech nerd. There are certain aspects of tech I'm like, oh, I don't know if I could do that. And then once I learn it,
Mhm.
baby, I'm acting like I created it. I can
Mm.
totally nerd out on that. And but so because of that, I'm building out GPT. So I've actually built out a health GPT primarily for my clients, but I
Mm.
will ask it questions, and it's also helping me
Mm.
understand what's going on with my body, because my GYN, who's one of my clients, like, I don't necessarily know if it's cyclical or hormonal. What
Yeah.
I'm learning now is that 9 times out of 10, because I don't have any other underlying health issues, it's
Mhm.
likely uh, estrogen related.
Mm.
There's something in the makeup of estrogen that will trigger your adrenal gland to suppress a histamine
Okay.
release. I mean, that's the
Gotcha.
easiest way to explain it. So, I mean, she's almost 57. You know,
Mhm.
estrogen is like, I mean, I'm still female, but
Yes, right. Yes.
estrogen is like, girl, we
It's
taking a
like,
vacation.
yeah, we're, we're wrapping it up.
We
You know what
wrapping
I'm saying?
it
Like,
up. Right, right.
we
So,
wrap, we've done our part.
right,
We've
we've
done
done our
our part. So let's
thing.
take it from here.
Right,
And
you got it. We're gonna
here
hang around so you don't injure yourself, but
it
don't
right.
expect a whole lot of us out of us right now.
Exactly. We're not
We've
working all the
retired.
listen, it's our time.
It's
It's our
our time.
time to just
Yeah. Yep.
absolutely. Yes.
Yep.
No, and I think that's the other important part about aging. And really, this is something that I invite and encourage everyone to do
Hmm.
is remain curious
Hmm.
about your body. But let's get curious about what's going on. And then to
Hmm.
what you have beautifully done, where are the pivots? What are the solutions? What can be done? What is actually happening so that then create what is going to work for you, what programs, what you need to do in order
Hmm.
to help assist you rather than taking it from, oh, I'm aging and this is just the way that has to be. Like, well, hold on. Let's just stay curious and investigative about what it is that our body is saying, what it's asking for, what it needs at whatever stage, but particularly as we're in midlife and beyond. And
To tap into what you're saying about curiosity, curiosity is two parts. And one of the things that I would encourage alongside what you're saying, Krista, is that if you are curious, remain curious, dig a little deeper. But
mm,
if you're not curious,
mhm,
here's how I think, or here's how I would encourage
mhm,
someone to develop the curiosity. So when I coach groups, I'm a goal person. A lot of being curious is
mhm.
also about exploring your options, which is goal driven.
Yes.
And the easiest way to do it, going back specifically to understanding one's body, place value on why you need to advocate for yourself. So one of the
Yeah.
things that
Yes.
I work with my clients, small groups, individually, one-on-one, is there are
Mhm,
5 steps that I always take them through. But the second one is about the goal. Now in social media, when you talk about goals or under clarifying your why, this with the
mhm,
why, what's the purpose? I like to
mhm,
take it another step further. So, all right, here's your goal.
mhm,
Why do you have that goal?
mhm.
You can't just say to me, Heather, I want to work with you because I want to lose 10 pounds. But
Yes.
now, why do you want the 10 pounds off your body? Why are we changing? Why is it 10 pounds? Why is it not 15 pounds? Who planted the
Exactly.
seed? The why. And each why goes deeper. Yeah.
Yes, peeling back the layers. So then let's talk about you being a fitness professional, of course.
Mhm.
Um, and you recently made a shift in 2023 and going into full-fledged entrepreneurship. I would love to talk about that as well because another piece of what I really want to drive home for women, especially in midlife, is that it is not the end or the ending of what is possible for you and what you want to create, do, be, and so forth. Women that are making big shifts and changes in midlife, I want to continue to show examples of people doing that. Because, like you said earlier in the conversation, the more we can see it in action, the more tangible it feels to us personally. I'd really love to hear about the trajectory for you from working for the Aspen Hill Health Club. Um,
Aspen Hill Club. Yeah.
yes. And then deciding I'm going to go and do my own thing.
I'm going to say this to your audience now before I jump in. It is going to feel like it is like this because it really did. The way I respond to that is going to feel like it's kind of disconnected. But if you look at the bottom of my hands, they're still connected.
Yes.
My forearms are connected, even though my hands are spread out, because that's what it was. I had dabbled a little bit in doing some stuff on my own early on in my career when I was in college. So my degree is a theater arts management with a mass media minor from the American.
Oh, stop it! I'm a
Yeah.
theater arts mate. My degree in theater arts. I had no idea. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, from American University. So when I was in college, I was teaching aerobics. I started doing some personal training, and I'd worked with a lot of different entities. So I had to kind of market myself. So that those seedlings were there. I knew that once my daughter graduated from high school, I was like, girl, I did not want to work as senior fitness director. And it wasn't that I didn't enjoy the work, but I was burned out from the process because I have a growth mindset. And I was working with people. So I was middle management working with upper management who were on cruise control. This is the way the club had run for a period of time. I was a little restless and a little exhausted. And I used to say that, thank God for that theater degree. Because from the time I opened my car door and stepped on the ground, I was on. Yes. Because I was senior fitness director. My primary responsibilities were group exercise department, but also assisting the fitness director and overseeing that department. Teaching classes, training clients 5-6 days a week. I was never not on in the building. And to give you an idea, I used to have to tell one of the female membership people, if I'm in the sauna or in the whirlpool, do not introduce somebody who's thinking about joining the club to me. Yes. Why do I have to tell you that?
Why? That's what I was kind of wondering. I was like, that's interesting that you even had to make that disclaimer, but okay.
Right. I just like to use that as an example to give people an idea of how on the expectation was. So let's fast forward to 2020. And 2020 with COVID, that was my 17th year there. And in my mind, that year I was supposed to be daughters graduating from high school. I'm going to start downsizing. So I'd already started downsizing how many classes I was teaching a week. I was going to take more clients. And then once we got her through her freshman year of college, I was going to give it my directorship and just teach and train. Then comes COVID. And so my shift into Journey to Forever Fit, the name actually comes from me always telling my folks that that's your, I don't call it wellness, your well life journey, your well life plan and goals are a journey. We should always be growing to a different point. I always would say, I want to be teaching you in my 90s. So that's like ever fit. The number 2 and the 4 just made sense. And it made sense because Journey to Forever Fit is an Instagram handle. If you spell it out, that's too long. Right. 2 and the 4 made it easy. My daughter was born on the 24th. There you go.
I love it. Oh,
but the company actually came out of a response to, so the state of Maryland shut down schools on March 12th, 2020, and shut down the state March 16th, 2020. So that was the following Monday. And we had a director's meeting on Zoom. My daughter had to teach me how to use Zoom. I didn't have a Zoom account. So we're on Zoom and we're talking about how are we going to keep our members engaged. And one of the things that we wanted to do was run group exercise classes. Now we were way behind the times. Other clubs were up and ready to go. We had to learn that. And in learning that, I had to get lights. I had to get the Zoom. I had a free Zoom and we were getting kicked out of classes because at the time Zoom was only 45 minutes on a free account. I needed to have a microphone. At the time I had my laptop propped up on books at the front of my window, but because we're in a condo, so on the other side of the window in the dining room is a mirror. Well, it's great. It looks really, really pretty over the buffet, but the reflection in the light. So I had to get all of this stuff that the club wasn't going to reimburse me for. But I'm going to say this to all my faithful believers. I am not a religious person. I'm a faithful person. That it was nothing but the glory of God. It was nothing but what God wanted for my path.
Yes.
because the trajectory that he put me on changed my eyes and my ears to what was happening around me. So I sat down. I spent about $300 to go sit down with a CPA because it got
Mhm.
to October. And I'm like, how do I even, I said to my husband, how do we even write this stuff off? I had over $700 worth of expenses. And
Mhm.
that, Jacques is his name, said to me,
Mhm.
dear, you can't write this off. Like,
Mm.
why can't I write it off? He said, I have no clients in. The next 2 hours are on me. My next client is not for 2 hours. It's going to take us about 2 hours to figure out whether you need to be an LLC or sole proprietorship, but you
Mhm.
can't write this off. All of your expenses are not for your business.
Mm.
They're for
Mm.
your employer. So eat the
Yes.
cost. You've already
Right.
spent it. Eat the cost.
Yes.
We're going to register you a domain, a name,
Mhm.
and with the state of Maryland. And then next year, even if you're doing it part-time, this is how you're going to have to do it. You're going
Mm.
to have to do it where you have so many classes and so many clients that you're teaching on your own. Now, here's
Mm.
the crazy thing.
Yes.
They, being management, didn't believe that online fitness was a thing. I'm like, but people come and use their Peloton app on our spin bikes all the
Right.
time. They didn't believe it was a thing. So
Wow.
over time, instead of the members logging in from the Aspen Hill Club, so what I
Mhm.
would do is I would create the links and I would drop it into a email that went out and the members would just log in. But
Mhm.
that meant I also had all the liability and the club would no longer cover me on their liability for online because it was supposed to be short-lived. But by this point in time, we are now almost 2 years into this. But
Okay.
remember, in 2021, I registered my company. So I said, all right, since I have to take all the responsibility for this,
Mhm.
now what they have to do is they'll get a code, but they're logging in onto my platform because I had already created a platform. I'd already started building out a YouTube channel. I'd already started building out a fee-based on-demand library because that's what Jacques told me to do. I know how to
Okay.
take instruction. I understood
Yes.
the assignment. So much so that now their members were not paying me. They had a
Mhm.
code to access and they could load on. And then some folks were like, well, this just makes more sense because I don't think I'm ever going to go into the gym again, and I'm staying home at working and I can jump on a Zoom with you and do a fitness class and
Right.
then you log out and go back to work. So some of them started out with buying class cards from me, terminating their membership. Look at God.
Yes.
So what
Okay.
started out as a tax shelter per
Mhm.
se
Mhm.
built its way in. And remember, I said that by this point in time, 2020 was our daughter's senior year. By the time Journey to Forever Fit, which was registered in Maryland in January 2021, by the time
Mhm.
we got to 2023, I had all the why God, Lord Jesus, am I doing this?
Right.
Crying at night because I couldn't figure out the tech,
Mhm.
couldn't get the Canva right, couldn't
Mhm.
get the I remember because I was getting so much money from PayPal that PayPal held about $2,000 and people
Wow.
couldn't log in to purchase because I didn't have a business account up. I mean, but I look back and I realized something then that I
Mhm.
was so used to when I worked calling
Mhm.
maintenance on the walkie-talkie going, okay, the sound just dropped in my class. We're gonna walk the track. Can you come down and figure out what it is that I never took the time to learn? So I got to a position where, my mom and dad used to tell me it's better to have and not need than to need and not have. I was at a
Mhm.
balance with that. Those 2 years from 2021 to 2023 not only built my muscle and my confidence to have something on, and I knew I wasn't going back in. And because they were also trying to bully me to come back in because they wanted me to do things that were not in my job description. And all I was asking for was a job description. And the general manager actually said this to me, and we're cool now. I want to make that clear that, well, when you remember when my computer dropped, yeah. Um, well, your job description was there. So this is the job description that I'm sending you. But I promise you in the other job description, you working floor hours was there. I was like, that was never in my job description. So
Mhm.
until you produce that one,
Give me the receipts.
and God is good because an instructor of mine reached out to me. She needed to vent about something and she was leaving. I had hired her to be a yoga instructor, phenomenal instructor, but in her full-time job, she
Mhm.
was she did HR employment law.
Okay.
She reaches out to me to vent.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my God, I just want to quit. And so I'm listening to her. And
Uh-huh.
she said something. I was like, you know what? I know I'm not supposed to have this conversation with you, but what you just referenced must be. I said, but I'm going to talk to you like we girlfriends. And I was explaining it to her. She goes, oh my goodness. She was like, how much time do you have? I was like, I have nothing else to do today. She said, I literally just said to my husband, I need to start doing some pro bono work because I'm so good at my law job and we
Wow.
represent employers that I
Yes.
know some kids didn't go to school because
Mhm.
of how good I am from the employer end. And she
Right.
walked me through this thing and
Yes.
told me how I needed to prepare myself to not just have this business that I was doing as this side gig,
Yeah.
but to go full in. And she said, and you practice on their dime. So
Wow.
when I got an email that said, we're going to end the virtual platform, it's like, okay, because I got people already, they sign in through me anyway. So, okay.
Right.
They didn't want me to tell anybody until 2 weeks before they made the decision. I was like, absolutely not.
Yes.
And so, had I not gone through everything, I mean, I was so stressed and so anxiety ridden that I went to see an allergist because I'm like, what am I allergic to? Like, why am I having, you
Mhm.
know, all of these respiratory distresses? And is it the dust? Is it the tree? Is it this, that, and the other? And the pulmonologist was like, we've tested you for everything. We've sent you for an allergist. What's your stress levels like? And when I
Mm.
told him, he was like, you're having panic attacks. And him telling me that because I'd been through so much,
Mhm.
there was a part of me out of frustration that was, okay, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Or
Yeah.
maybe God's telling me I shouldn't be doing this. I've said that
Mhm.
conversation to so many people. The following sentence would be, but I don't know what else I'm supposed to be doing, which is
Right.
how I knew I was supposed to be doing what I'm doing, just not
Yes.
where I was doing it. But I
Eh,
needed that exit. My pastor is one of my clients, he and his wife, and he put me in Exodus.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
that's how I got through those 2 years biblically in Exodus. He was like, don't get caught up on the scripture. Get caught up on everything that Moses went through in
Mhm.
order to get to the Red Sea, where God is like, I'm gonna say something to you.
Mhm.
The wind is gonna happen. The
Mhm.
people behind you are gonna be in your ear,
Yes.
pushing you to be frustrated and not move. And when the sea does this, I'm gonna need you to step out. When they told me in August that they wanted the last day to be September 3rd, I was ready to walk through.
Right. Yes.
Everything was set up.
Amazing.
Everything was set up.
Amazing.
If I had to do it all over again, when I shifted my, when I finally decided to leave my, not leave um, my 401k there
Mhm. Mhm.
and roll it into an IRA, I did take some money. I should have taken more. Because what we do, and because I'm not brick and mortar, it's really hard for people who fund and do capital to really understand that
Mhm.
they get the workout and all of this.
Right.
They don't
Yes.
get the mindset work. They don't get what a fitness coach really does, or what a personal trainer who's also a dietitian,
Right.
or a certified licensed nutritionist.
Yes.
Okay, they
Right.
don't get that work.
Mhm.
Getting the finance is
Mhm.
really, really key.
Mhm.
And so I probably would have taken more money out. And here's the other thing: do not be afraid to invest in yourself. But
Yeah.
I just took $15,000 out of my retirement fund to drop it into my business right now. And
Mhm.
here's the crazier thing, if I'm going to be that honest, I
Mhm.
only need about 8, 9 of it. But in order to get the 8, 9 of it and not to own Uncle Sam, I needed to take 15 out to cover the
Mhm.
taxes and the fees.
Yeah.
Somebody would say to me, is that, why would you do that? Why wouldn't I do that? Why
Mhm.
wouldn't at 56 I not invest in myself? Because here's the thing: I've also done the work to know what I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know marketing.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so all of the webinars, all of the, if you just put the hook here and all those other things that keep me up late at night, because
Mhm.
the growth, I don't have a retention problem, it's the growth. And
Yes.
so you spin your wheels. I can't tell people that you need to meet with me or you need to go to Krista, if you're feeling stuck, and
Mhm.
then not not place myself in a position where for my business, I'm not stuck. I needed someone to help me build out a business marketing messaging strategy. That's what entrepreneurship has looked like for me since, I would say 2021, registering the business, 2023, October 1st, full time in it. And understanding that for as much as I hated social media, I'm still not certain that I love it. I cannot be an online business without that level of visibility. So why not hire someone?
Right.
But I had to do my research. I had to do my work. And I also pulled myself away. So if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see my shorts. You won't see long form videos. But if you drop there and you want to try a workout, please message me somewhere, because I'll send you a link to the workout, but it's not there because I needed to pull myself away. I needed to not, every time I saw my content, go. And that response was, I know what I want it to look like. I know what I want the message to be. And I couldn't get in that direction, but I just hired somebody.
Right.
And so I knew enough to know what I didn't know and what I wanted. And I narrowed it down to 3 different entities. And I finally went with, I'll give them a little shout out, Sapling, Sapling for Pictures and Production. I think that's what their name is. They're in Shirlington, Virginia, Northern Virginia. We judge ourselves from where we lack and not from what we've known and learned.
Exactly.
And if I could impart anything else in this, it was to take the skill that you have and learn how to apply, if it's no more than just the thinking, onto that new thing that you need to learn. I've been told that I have really good discernment. So, and using that discernment, I knew that 2 things. I've already hired that. I don't have to worry about my content. And why am I worried about my content and placing that word on this entity because when I do content for them, they get results.
Right. Your journey, again, just highlights the curiosity piece. It highlights the value piece. It highlights pivoting. Really beautifully illustrated how you went about doing that, and what you didn't know didn't stop you from your forward motion. It could be very easy, especially in midlife and as you're aging, to be like, okay, well, if I don't know this, what's the point? It doesn't matter, because you get to think that it's too late to learn something new, to try something new, to present yourself in a different way. So before we get ready to wrap up, I would like to end by hearing from you. What would you tell someone, either yourself at 25 or someone that might be watching this and has, fears or concerns about aging? I would like for you to impart some wisdom to your 25-year-old self, or someone that's 25 watching this.
So I think the first thing that I would say is, look at the women around you and use them as the example. Who do you want to be? Not necessarily to covet their life.
Yes.
And to lose your identity. Like in your circle, who's your hashtag goal? That's the first thing that I would say, because I can remember being 26, 27. And this is exactly what I said. Like, oh my God, I'm not going to be teaching aerobics at 30. Like, that's so old. Like, who does that? Yes. Until I got to 29. And then when I hit 29, I'm like, oh, okay, so next year I'll be 30. What does that even mean? And that thought was no longer a thought. And I bring that up often because if you're not careful, you'll hear other people's negativity around aging. Start to shape what aging means to you. And then the other thing that I would say is to 20-something me is 2 things. Something that my parents taught me. You don't have to do or respond to everything. And when you are unsure, pause it.
Yes.
Reflect.
Yes.
It's okay to say, I don't know. What's not okay is to say, I don't know, and stick in stay in the ignorance. But to say I
Right.
don't know and try back to your earlier conversation about curiosity, but be
Mhm.
curious enough to even figure out what it is you don't know. Then the last thing I would say, I don't do it anymore, but in my 20s and early 30s, I did vision board. And I think
Mhm.
the one mistake that I made in the vision board, which is when I help my clients with their vision board, is
Mhm.
the mistake that most people make intuitively. So I'm going to ask you this question before I give the answer. What do you think is missing on most people's vision board?
The thing that comes up for me is what's true to them, like what they really want versus what they think they should want.
I like that. It's not, but it's not my answer. But I
Mhm.
would agree with that, and I would encourage your audience to hold on to that. Do you have a vision board?
I don't. I've had in the past, but I don't currently.
Okay. So most people have everything on their vision board, never have themselves. How do you have
Mm,
a vision board without you being the center of the vision?
very, very, very good point.
Anytime I work with someone to do their vision board, I need you to be smack dab in the middle.
You are so right about that. I definitely hope that people that you all take that nugget. So you all heard it here first, probably ever from anyone, because I have never heard that. You make yourself be
You
on
make
that
yourself the
vision
center.
board.
You have to be
That
the
you have
center
to.
of your vision. I'm not one who believes that there's something wrong with fake it till you make it. In proper perspective, I think there's something to fake it until you make it. The reason why I think that you're only faking it if you just have that vision board, and I understand most people are doing it the way that they've been taught to do it. I want to encourage you to think a little broader and a little
Yes.
deeper. It becomes
Yes.
more tangible when you're in the middle of that vision and you see
Mhm.
all those things surrounded by you. And then the
Yes.
last thing that I would tell your audience, based on what I would tell my 25-year-old self, don't get caught up in the package. What's in the box?
Oh, I love that. I think
What's
that is,
in the box?
I
And
love
we get
that.
so caught up on
Yes.
the package and how it's supposed to look versus what's in the box. There's a
Yes.
whole lot of stuff that comes to us pretty and is empty on the inside.
Yes. I think that is a brilliant way to put a period at the end of the sentence. So
Mhm.
before we wrap up, Heather,
Mhm.
this has been amazing. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for all of the beautiful wisdom that you imparted upon us today. I always do this with all my guests. It's a quick little rapid fire. Okay. So let's start with the beach or the mountains.
Ooh, that I'm a Pisces, um, but I'm gonna say the beach.
That makes sense with your Pisces nature. Let's see, go go or house.
House music all night long. Say what? House music all night long.
Really, I asked my other
House
DMV guest.
music
That's
all
kind of a
night
trip. That's kind of a
long.
trick question because I asked my other DMV guest that, and of course she said go go. But I'm gonna let you have your house. I
House
love
music
it.
all night long.
And then the final question that I have for you is night owl or early riser?
Night owl.
This has been such a wonderful conversation.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate you taking the time. All of Heather's information will be in the description box below. Please let us know in the comments what your biggest takeaways were from this conversation. We certainly want to hear from you. Thank you once again for joining me for Candid with Krista, and I'll see you in the next conversation. Thanks again, Heather.
You're welcome.